We're one Saturday closer to Georgia playing, and we have all the details of Georgia's scrimmage that a lot of the lettermen saw, a lot of former players. It was a good day for the offense, or at least a better day for the offense. And, I think that's what a lot of people wanted to hear, wanted to see, but it may have been that last week just wasn't quite reality. And look, we've got all the details over at dogpost.com. Make sure you're taking advantage of all the stuff that we've got written over on the site. I think this was a scrimmage that shed light onto a couple things just real quick. Let me kind of get through this in a stream of consciousness. I've got everything written over on the site, but it was a good day for the offense. I think the quarterbacks played pretty well. We always hear about drops. So that is something that I just want to say, that we always hear about drops. I don't know. But the thing about scrimmages is so many different guys play that it wouldn't necessarily play in games. Is that really a problem? I don't know. Hey, one thing that's so great about this time of year is you get these scrimmages and you get these insider reports, and we're giving you a great offer right now. 3 months of Dog Posts and the 2025 preview included. All you have to do is sign up. The QR code is on the screen. I've got the link down below to the 3-for-1, the 1-for-3, whatever, however you want to put it. The great offer we've got, $15 for 3 months and the magazine. Take advantage of it now. This is going to run out this week. So here's your sort of last shot to sign up. And in doing so, you will see the insider reports that we've got. And, one thing people talk about a lot, this is going to be a longer video, so stick with me. It's one of the better reasons to sign up now is you get this in written form in more detail. It's not just me meandering about things. But for the discussion of drops, there is a lot of optimism about this offense, the wide receivers. I mean, I think the younger receivers had an up and down day from what I pieced together. Of course, we're not allowed to watch these scrimmages for whatever reason, and that's Georgia's prerogative. But there is a serious amount of optimism about these receivers. They're bigger. I mean, my suspicion is they're just sort of better than they've been in the past. Here's the quote. One of the quotes in the what we're hearing for today. It says, "The big receivers had a really good day." Let me just pause here real quick. That could be a lot of people because the receivers at Georgia are getting larger. They're not. I mean, Zachariah Branch is not a great example of that. But anyway, the full quote from one of our insiders is, "The big receivers had a really good day. I've never seen Georgia's receiver room this big and talented." So whenever someone like me gets up here and talks, so look, I've been doing this for a long time. There's a lot of people, obviously we're credentialed, we go to games, and just being credentialed doesn't mean you even know what you're talking about, I have to say. But there's always sort of too much optimism going into seasons, and I see that out there. I watch TikTok, and I don't really watch YouTube, folks. I don't have time for it the way that I do TikTok. And I just quickly see what people are saying. It's like, well, they're doubting Kirby. I don't think anybody's doubting Kirby. I think there's got to be a recognition that Georgia's not overall as talented as they've been in the past. They are approaching that at receiver. They've definitely gotten better at receiver. I don't think they have A.D. Mitchell, Lab McConkey, and George Pickens on the same roster, along with Jermaine Burton and, Kyrus Jackson. I mean, they were kind of loaded up for a while there, and people didn't realize that. But they are better than they were last season. I think that there was and it's not, this is a pretty easy thing to say. They were far too up and down last year at receiver. It just was not quality the way that you need to be in order to win championships, like national championships. And I think they've taken a massive step forward at receiver this year. I mean, it's noticeable when you see them out there at practice. They are clearly bigger than they were. And I think that, that's the part that Georgia, that's noticeable at Georgia. One guy who had a good day yesterday was C.J. Wiley. another pretty big wide receiver, 6'4", probably close to 200 at this stage. But he had a big connection with Montgomery. So that's the other thing, is a lot of times people that flash could be flashing against the bottom of the second team or the top of the third. But those guys are all going to have to play. Everybody's going to have to play. I think that one of the guys that had sort of his it's becoming clear that he's someone that Georgia's going to would like to depend on, is Juan Gaston. And he's not where he needs to be in terms of his conditioning right now. Kirby has said that. He's lost 25, 30 pounds. That's awesome. But it's hard to gain during the season. And that's the problem right now for Juan, is that he's lost a bad weight. Now he's got to put on good. And that's the problem for Juan, and probably not just Juan. It's probably for, everybody that's a big guy, and even the younger guys. Even the littler guys. Everybody, if you've just gotten into this, you're probably not in condition the way that you need to be. And that's the problem, is how do you shrink the calendar? How do you get these guys in condition in a way that, you needed, in the past you had, say, 18 months to get guys ready but with the portal and everybody transferring left and right, you just don't have the depth. And so that's, it is what it is. And Georgia's not alone in this. This was $13 million is for Kirby. But I think CJ Wiley had a good day, or at least had a pretty big pop touchdown. So that was important. But here's what Kirby said. He said Juan's got to get into better shape. He's a talented player, but he plays a lot of snaps, and he gets the volume. As the volume gives us, he struggles to sustain, which is usually the case with freshmen. They just can't handle the volume, the practice load that they get. He's growing at that. He's lost 25, 30 pounds since being here, but he continues to work hard and work with the ones and the twos and pickups and pass row pickups and different things he has to do. So he was with the ones at least a fair amount of time yesterday. Well, we're not there during these things. We're having to listen to people tell us things. And it's not we don't trust them, we do. But I would prefer to see things with my own eyes. I don't get to do that. As long as I've been doing this, Georgia's never let us into scrimmages for 20-something years. So it just doesn't happen. Doesn't mean we don't get a good feel of things, but it's not like being there. And here's another line from the report. Gaston's ability to work an entire game will be a critical step to figuring out a position group that let Georgia down a season ago. The offensive line it's got options on the interior. It seems like, to me, now someone can correct me if I'm wrong in the grand scheme of things, but it looks like Monroe Freeling and Ernest Green are going to start on the outsides. That leaves the inside. It certainly seems like Drew Bobo is going to be the starting center. So you have a slew of guys that are massive to pick from on this offensive line. You've got Daniel Calhoun, which I think is just a matter of time. You've got Michael Morris, Michael Uni, Jamal Merriweather. These guys are all minimum 6'4". The slenderest person is Merriweather at 305. Most of them are over 300 pounds or 320 pounds. So as a person who, I weigh 222 this morning, whatever. They got 100 pounds on me. I'm 6'4", 6'5", 223 pounds. Most people think I'm a very big person. These guys are 100 pounds larger than me, and I would not confuse them with being, quote, fat. I would not say that. I certainly wouldn't say that to their face. You've got to have the mass and the body to absorb and to strike at this level of football. And you can't just be some big guy out there. You have to be able to functionally move. So there's all of that. It looks like Gunner is, plotting towards a very good start to the season. Now, he's got to go do it. That's the caveat with all these things. He's got to go. He's doing the work. This guy, one thing that people kept pointing out to us was how often Gunner is in the blue helmet cover, which is a signification of this person is doing well. He's been in it a lot. Not every time, but been in it a lot. So in terms of, some people seem to care about leadership so much. It's asked far too often about in press conferences. People talk about it a lot online. He's doing that part. But one of the best ways to lead is to get the job done when you have to do it. We saw him do that against Texas. But the challenge now for Gunner is different than it was a season ago. He's going to have to adjust. He's the starter now. Georgia doesn't. Kirby won't name starters, and I actually get that. I understand that, but Gunner's role in this whole thing is different than it has been in the past, and he's kind of got to be a younger coach in a way and get guys to where they've got to go. That part I think he can really do, but now you have the added pressure of I've got to do this while I'm playing. Well, to me, for him, with as many games as he's played, I would say he probably played 55 games in high school. Is that close? Something like that? That's probably about right, actually. I'm going to pause and look. It was 53 games. That's a really good guess for the record. So he played for Leashaw and then Jabo, his son. And Gunner got a lot of experience and I know that area of North Georgia. My family's from up there, the county over in Towns. I know that area very well. It sucks at football. Raven has done an outstanding job. And, when you go quarterfinal, semifinal, quarterfinal in your high school career in a place where, it just doesn't. Football is irrelevant. Sports in many ways are irrelevant. That is saying something. So he got a ton of experience. And I know people say, well, it's not the same as playing college. Yeah, no shit. It's not the same. So that's what I'm articulating is that it's not the same to go to, I wouldn't say Jefferson. Jefferson can be kind of jumpy. But in 21, they played Murphy in North Carolina, who is trash. They did play Jefferson. I was at that game. But you're playing Saluda, you're playing Pickens. These are just not good teams. They're beating Elbert by a million. Union County the same way. Banks County is just not even competitive. They beat Pace worse the second time than they did when they beat them the first time. So they just are not. Wasn't really challenged, but he was killing people, man, when he was up there. And I think that for Gunner, the thing is that was at this stage coming on 5 years ago. He's a very old. He's just been around the block for so long, and he knows how to play. Now that's the thing I think that people don't. For all of the sort of, I wouldn't say doubt, but the justifiable questions of Gunner Stockton coming into 2025, one that is not being discussed in terms of one of his attributes is this guy knows how to play the position. When he was, I thought Brock Vandegrift had more raw ability. I'm not sure I've changed that, but he was raw. Gunner knew how to play. He knew, but my concern with Gunner Stockton was that the way he plays might not translate to the SEC. And we're still figuring that part out. But I do think that the ability to run is something that he possesses that really gives Georgia the capability to do some things that they have not in the past. And I think that's important. And I think that when you talk with people, insiders here, I'll flash it on the screen real quick. That's what they're worried about is, can Georgia get where they got to go? But they couldn't have last year because of, I would say, more than the receivers, the offensive line. Nothing functioned correctly because they could not just get easy yards. And they could in 2023. They were able to run effectively, and they were able to score more points. That just wasn't there a season ago. And Kirby had this to say about the offensive line. He said, I want to continue to see an identity of toughness, physical, setting the edges on the run game, denting the defense. And that's what we have to do to be able to go, and we need to have a great run game to, number one, help our quarterback release third and longs, feature backs and then utilize play action. So those guys are working really hard. I've been really pleased with the group talking about the offensive line. I said they continue to work hard and do what we need to do. And here's the important thing. We'll be where we need to be. They know something at Georgia that other folks don't, or it feels like that. I didn't get this a season ago. I'll say that. And that for all the people you talk to, a lot of it I think is wishful thinking, but there has been a notable, this is a little different than last year. Hey, what's a little different is when you arrive in your Red Zone exclusive Riding Home t-shirt, Riding Home. The first one's going to be after that Marshall game. Well, that's not totally true. We've got something for you next weekend to get ready for. So grab this from our buddies at Red Zone. I know I've had the QR code on the screen for a while, but we can't do all this travel and so forth. You know, Ryan and Matt are very picky eaters, and they expect their good meals when we travel. And Red Zone helps us do that. Our friends Scott and Mindy, we cannot do it without them. I will not be there before the Marshall game, but you will be on Clayton Street downtown in Athens. Listen, man, I'm not just saying it. They really are very important to us, and it helps us. It matters that you support them. Okay, it matters that you support them for us, but for them too. It's a completely independent business, not corporate in any way. So if you want to help Athens, if you want to help small business, here's your shot. And so is Dog Post. We are not owned by .com. We are not owned by a network. You're looking at the owner. It's just me, and that can be good and bad, but it is what it is. And I think for Georgia coming into this thing, I would be a little more excited than a season ago. I think a lot of last year was about, hey, this is retribution and so forth. 24 had nothing to do with 23. And that's the problem, is that 24 won't have anything to do with 25. This team right here has the ability. They have the talent. They have talent they didn't have a season ago. I think they have regressed at quarterback in terms of talent. I think they have regressed in certain spots, certainly at pass rusher on defense. I think they could be better in the secondary in theory. I know that's strange to say, but they could be, even though they lose Malachi, even though they lose Dan Jackson. They could be better. KJ Bolden is a really good DB and safety. I mean, is Ellis Robinson coming along? Is he? I don't know. Read the report and find out. How about on the offensive line? I think the offensive line could be better. I think that in terms of just one running back, you'd rather have ETN, but he didn't play a lot. So, he didn't play against UMass. He didn't play against Tech. He didn't play against Clemson. He didn't play against – did he play against Tennessee? I mean, I don't – he got knocked out of the Florida game. I mean, I'm listing a lot of games here after a while. He really beat up Texas. I'll say that. And they needed him against Kentucky, and he was there for them then. And that's the thing. I mean, do they have a wider group of guys? Someone said to us today that Dwight Phillips quote looks legit. If they got a burner there, it's not like they don't have the ingredients. They do on a lot of this team. But a season ago, they had ingredients, but they were misplaced. There were way too many injuries. That is another thing that, I just don't know. No one knows what the answer to is on that front. Do they have the bodies that they need in terms of depth to absorb injuries? I don't know. It's not like it used to be, and it's not like that for anybody. And I think that, that's going to be as much a part of this as anything, is can you stay healthy and can you win the right games? That's going to be extremely, extremely important. And we'll see. Georgia, when they play really well, is not going to lose to anybody. Ohio State, Texas, they're not going to lose. It's when you don't play your best game, when you don't play, what happens when you play a bad game? Can you still win? We saw Georgia play bad games and win last year. They did that against Kentucky, for sure. They did that, I would say, against Florida, to be honest. They did that against Tech. Definitely Tech and Kentucky. They just didn't play well in those games. Didn't play well defensively against Tech. Didn't play well offensively against Kentucky. Didn't play well offensively against the Gators. Um, but, they played bad against Ole Miss and lost. They played poor defensively against Alabama. Well, they played poor defensively against Alabama in the first half and poor offensively in the anyway, they sort of swapped. They played outstanding in the second half against Alabama. You can't do that. You got to play the full game. So, what's going to happen when they don't have their A game? Because go back and watch the games in 22. They were not always on fire. I mean, they didn't play well against Tech in 22. They didn't play well against Samford in 22. They didn't. They didn't play well against Missouri in 22. Most of the other games they played pretty well or well enough. I mean, even against Tech, they destroyed Georgia Tech. I'm just saying they didn't play well. So you're not always going to play well. That was the hardest part. Was letting go that you're not playing well and just sort of knifing out a victory some way. That was the hardest part about college. I don't feel great. I'm not hitting the ball right or whatever sport you're doing. I'm not shooting well. How can I win this game? So you have to have multiple ways to do it. And a year ago, one of those ways was not running the ball. That's the thing for Georgia is they're going to have to figure all of this out. Can they do it? Let us be your guide during the season. Let us be your 2025 guide. Take advantage of the offer while it lasts because it's going away this week. And sign up and get yourself a great deal and an awesome magazine. If I do say so myself, it was hand typed. I typed it with my hands. Do you want to miss out on that? Thanks for watching.